Welcome to the Breakthrough to Your Best Success online event. Join your host, Elizabeth Hamilton-Guarino, and the contributors from the Success Guidebook and other special guests to visualize, actualize, and amplify you and your best success. This conference will help you redefine success, transform your goals, embrace change, design and realize your best life, and much more.
Welcome back to the Success Guidebook event. We're breaking through to our best success. I keep saying that in different ways, Michael, like best ever success, best ever you, whatever it is, the Success Guidebook. I'm so glad you're a contributor, and I'm so glad you're here with us today. Thank you so much as we explore this redefining success theme, right? Yeah.
Well, you're very welcome, and thank you for having me. It's an honor to be a part of this magnificent book and to be talking to you today.
Thank you. So we're asking the same 5 questions of all of the contributors. And so we're just going to kick this off here. And I'm going to kind of read from my notes here because these are kind of long questions. So the Success Guidebook examines success in new and redefined ways. So how has your perspective and pursuit of success evolved through your life?
I would say that it's evolved in some ways that I can articulate and others that are spiritual and less articulatable and tangible. The way that I would describe some of the changes or the most fundamental change would be that originally my idea of success had to do with receiving the attention and the acknowledgement of others for things that I'd done, which I believe is a definition of success for many people. It's evolved beyond that, though, when after I had experienced an abundant amount of that in a field that I love performing in as an actor, and it didn't satisfy something in me that at that time I didn't understand, because I was sober when I went into the Sundance Film Festival arena that resulted in the launch of my film career as an actor. And I started drinking again right before I went to Sundance Film Festival. So obviously something was happening in me that needed greater examination, and I wasn't qualified to give it that examination at that time. Though later, when I became sober again, and then drank again, and then became sober again, I realized that the true definition of success for me is love. To do what you love, to love yourself, to love others, and let that be the foundation of everything that you express in your art form, in your personal life, in your professional life. Let love be the foundation, and let all of your decisions be guided by that. It will always be healthiest and most authentic, because love is healthiest and most authentic.
Yeah, we can just end this interview right there. That's about perfect. I'm just kidding. That's exactly it, isn't it? It's like kind of like this. Like I was on an interview earlier today, and I was like, okay, we're just going to go like this, and just be like, okay, we love ourselves a lot, right?
That's right. And I'll tell you, when you do that, and you're doing that in the most authentic way, that's loving other people too, because when you do feel that sense of deservedness in yourself, you only want others to feel it too.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. The second question. How has the notion of success guided you in making big business and life decisions?
Connected again to love being the foundation, I pray for guidance that all of my decisions are based in what is optimal for the outcome. And so sometimes that is for the result that I'm looking for. And sometimes the answer is not the result that I'm looking for. I'll have a goal and I'll want to make this happen, or have this happen, rather, collaborate with the Lord to make it happen. And it doesn't happen. And I have to realize that it didn't happen, maybe for a reason that's to my benefit that I don't understand. So again, allow the idea of everything is happening to a positive purpose. And you may or may not understand it in the moment that it happens. Though if you are in the meditation of always seeing that love is the prevailing theme, you're always going to make the best of whatever is happening. And we're not always qualified to know what is best. I know in my own life, what I've considered to be the best outcome for certain things has not been how they resulted. And yet it has to be the best result because that's what happened. In my experience, there's nothing but positive energy happening all around me. And it's a matter of me praying for the guidance to be able to see it, seize it, and make sure that I am constantly aligned with that energy.
I'm going to depart from these 5 questions for just a second and ask you a question about this. We're in fields that are very creative and there's a lot of rejection. So speak to everybody out there who is in this spot. I mean, we all face rejection, but some fields have it more than others.
Sure.
Before you get to that yes and so forth. How do you stay not depressed in those moments? How do you stay sober perhaps? How do you stay, how do you stay up when things feel sad or hopeless or piled on rejection?
Returning to something I voiced in the previous answer, everything is to a positive purpose. Someone who experiences even the physical departure of a loved one is shot through with grief and the struggle of the pain, the challenge of the pain for that departure.
Yeah.
However, that physical departure, that physical absence does not connote spiritual absence. That spirit is still a part of you in your love. That person is still a part of you in your love. Yeah. And when you truly see the significance of your grief, you can be free to know that that also is love. Your grief and your sorrow needs to happen because it is the signal of love. You had the love present in your life, and now it's not physically present, it's transformed into a spiritual relationship, and you are grieving that physical absence because there was so much comfort and goodness in that physical presence. And now you have to pay honor to the love that you had of that by the grief. It's necessary. It has to be there. And there's a line from a song that I wrote called The Other Side, which is essentially about the experience of love and letting it be the ultimate guide in your life. And one of the lines in it is, there is this heartache and this longing that I embrace because it is love. So in the field that you're in the field that I'm in, there are all these things that come and they can be very seductive in giving us a feeling of dejection and disappointment, though you will only truly have that in a sustained way if you want to have that as the feeling. Every rejection is only going to sharpen you. It's only going to make you more grateful. It's only going to make you more focused on achieving what you want. And again, to the end that everything is happening to a positive purpose. I was talking to my mom the other night about how I was grappling with, oh, thank you, sweetie. I was grappling with anger the other night with certain things not coming through for me. And I was actually in the midst of prayer. And to a certain extent, I was asking for forgiveness for this frustration because I know that there's alignment. I know there's positive energy all around me. But I needed to confess, I'm angry. I'm angry about this. And I meditated through it. And the Lord gave me the message that all of your feelings are welcome. It's all okay. Though don't hold on to anything that holds you back. and anger can hold you back. So express it and know that that's natural, and then move forward knowing that you don't understand why these things aren't happening. And I told my mom in that conversation, I said, Mom, I have to remember, perhaps I didn't get that job because someone else with 3 kids got that job, and now their kids can eat, or their kids can go to the private school that they needed to, because some other result that doesn't have to do with me selfishly receiving what I want, but it's connected to how everyone is thriving in the world. So always connect yourself to the most positive interpretation of events, and you will never fail.
I hope you write a book about this. I'm sending this interview to Sounds True. I hope they sign you.
Okay.
Right. I love Sounds True. All right. Let's go over to, can you do something in a Christopher Walken voice? Can you answer the next question?
I can do anything you like, Elizabeth, in Christopher Walken's voice.
I love it.
I'll give you a full answer to any question you have.
That's funny. All right, you ready?
Yes.
The most elusive aspect of finding success is the ability to have it encompass all aspects of our lives. How do you approach success as a multifaceted goal?
Again, it's always fundamentally about love. Where is my energy being directed? Is it selfish? Does it involve other people? Is it to the benefit of other people? Is it sound in the sense that my achievement of this is going to be to the benefit of other human beings? It's not just going to be about the accrual of wealth and the aggrandizement of potential fame and attention. It's going to have a fundamental goal of reaching other people. The message, even of a horror film. One of my horror pictures is particularly gruesome in certain action scenes, though the message of it is still love. The message of it is still about how these negative things are, or these perceived negative things are no match finally for the spirit of goodness that embraces all things and stands above all things, because it is all things in perfect balance, and that is love. So when I am pursuing any goal, my intention is to remember that it is not about me alone. And anything that I achieve is in collaboration with the Lord. There is nothing that I do in my life that is not a part of that collaboration and a result of my receipt of all the gifts that I am continually given by the ultimate source.
Yeah, I think it's one of the important things to remember about self-help in this genre is that sometimes when you write a book like the Success Guidebook, people assume you're not religious. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, no, that's an assumption, because for me, I was raised Catholic. Mm-hmm. And so I was raised, actually, my father's Catholic and my mother's Presbyterian, and I alternated churches each week in the middle of 11 kids. So I think I love your messaging with some spirituality and God involved and things like that, because I so believe in prayer and all of it. There's such a higher take. I get goosebumps when you were saying, maybe I didn't get that job because somebody else needed it.
Oh my God. And that just gave me a tingle in my body, because it's true. And you get those feelings when you're talking about something that moves you and is truthful. Yeah. And when I think about that, I suddenly feel that positive energy resurge in my heart that I was missing because I was focused on something selfishly. And then I think, of that child's face when their dad comes home and says, I got a recurring role on an ABC show. And my goodness, you think about that child and that father, and it's so beautiful. Then you're filled with this love of life and how it's all happening for reasons sometimes we know, sometimes we don't know. Though if you stay in contact with everything being to a positive purpose, you will not ever fail.
Yeah, and I think that authenticity is so important too. You know, that you said the word alignment, my ears perked up. I'm like, alignment, there's my favorite word, you know, that heart, truths, energy all day long, where I was on an interview earlier and we were talking about, you know, being 55 and being on camera and things like that. And I'm like, you know, I'm in a safe space right here. I feel love, and I feel, I mean, I could have shown up in my jammies with my hair on top of my head with no makeup on or anything, and it would have had the same result. I'm like, so it's super important to stay authentic as well.
And if you are in alignment with the message that everything is happening to a positive purpose, which is love, then that is the ultimate authenticity. Because in my experience, everyone is love. Yeah. That is their nature. Different things happen to us that make us direct our energy in different ways, and sometimes in ways that are negative and self-hating or hateful towards others. That does not rate for me as an illustration of the final truth, though. The final truth is that which stands in the face of all things with perfect grace, and that is love. Yeah. And that is why love is the only thing that can finally deal with all of those perceived negative expressions effectively. Because if you look at something negative and you come at it with negativity, that's what makes it so much worse. Again and again. But if you come to it with acceptance, you come to it with embrace, and however that translates, because it translates in a lot of different ways, how you bring that grace to that. And when you bring that grace to that, it is an equalizer to varying degrees. I mean, sometimes the problem won't be solved in that one event of you bringing grace to it, though it will always be the most successful way to deal with anything that you perceive as negative.
Yeah, I love it. Like, how do you deal with, I call it the drift. How do you deal with drifting away from yourself sometimes when you don't feel so great about yourself, or when you don't feel like you're the most successful person in the world, or, you know, just, you know, all those things that we have. Like for me, I'll put on 15 pounds. I'm like, wait, why did I do that? I've drifted this way when I really want to be this way. Why do we do that?
I believe that the reason that happens is because there's still something we're resolving. And we need to go through everything that we're going through. And if you resist that, if you close your heart to that, then you're essentially closing your heart to the solution that awaits you. You have to go through everything you're going through. In my experience, that has shown itself as true again and again and again, because I see everything as to a positive purpose. It wouldn't be happening if it didn't need to happen. So when I have the thought that isn't self-loving, when I have the action toward myself, or I give vent to the action toward myself that is not self-loving, I need to understand that that's happening because I still have the capacity to do that. And that must be to my benefit, because everything is to my benefit. So I pray for guidance. Please allow me the grace to understand how this is to my benefit. If that is to enable energy to more fully let this go, then know that I'm ready for this no longer to be a part of my life. However, if this keeps coming up, I accept the fact that it's going to keep coming up because I still need to understand more about this in my own individual experience. So if my abdication of this energy is enough to solve my grappling with it, please know I surrender. If, however, I'm not done with this, give me the grace to understand how I can benefit others and myself with this ongoing challenge, this resurging challenge. And certain answers have come to me in that field. I've created characters that are full of grace and power and love. And I've also created characters that are, and I've played characters that are defeated and compromised and negative and hateful and angry. So I have to look at the fact that my composite understanding of humanity as an artist is essential to my ability to create different characters and different scenarios. So my understanding of the negative and even my experience of a perceived negative is still essential to my expression of it in my art form.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a pivotal conversation for people. I think hearing you and seeing you and listening to some of the things that you're saying will change people's lives. I really do. And you know, whichever publisher you end up at as a self-help guru, whether it's HCI or Sounds True or Hay House or wherever it is, you know, there's some great publishers for your message, I think, for sure.
Well, thank you. And I'll tell you, I have started to memorialize these thoughts and these meditations. I will say that also public speaking is something that I find to be very inspiring to me, and also the eventuation of my message, because I believe one of the abilities that I've been given is to articulate in word that when it's live is different sometimes than when it's written. And when it's written, it has a pulse and it has an energy, and there's definitely a place for that. And I love that place. There's also something that happens spontaneously, like is happening now between us, that belongs exclusively, I believe, to the live experience. So there's also something that I want to pursue where if I can collaborate with someone to bring the message through me to people in a forum of public speaking, I'd love to do that, where I speak for potentially 20, 30 minutes, or I speak with someone like yourself on a stage with question answer, and then we open it up to everyone who's in attendance and let them ask me questions like you're asking.
Dream. That's my dream right there. Do you know that? That's my dream, to be like, I don't necessarily want to be on stage by myself, because I think I'd rather sit on the stage and be like, I don't know if I want to be here or not. But I could sit on the stage with somebody and do a Q&A and things like that. It'd be so much easier. I'd be like, okay, let's go out on stage.
Well, I'm an enormous yes for that.
Do that. That'd be so much fun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like an LA adventure.
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
It's a fabulous way to understand the meaning of being together with other human beings.
Yeah.
Because when you're there with that strictly positive purpose, and you know that the people are there with the strictly positive purpose of listening with an open heart and collaborating with you toward a greater understanding of how we can love each other, it's that
was that vibe I had this morning on the Instagram Live with the girl. I'm like, oh, you know, you almost felt like you could do no wrong. It was like, this is just love right here. All 100 people.
And it's true. When it is purely love, forgive me, I stepped on you there.
Oh, okay.
When it is purely love, you can do no wrong, because there is no wrong to do.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, one last question. I think we answered this, but let's just make sure we cover it. One last question. How does authenticity and integrity factor into achieving success and maintaining it? Let's go on the integrity part heavy on that if you want to for me, because that's so important.
Sure. And again, returning to love being the basis for all things, if you're coming from that place, you are naturally going to be honest. You're going to be good. You're going to be strong. You're going to be graceful. You're going to think of others as well as yourself on a regular and continuing basis. You're going to meditate about embodying all of the necessary facets of being a loving human being on a regular basis. And having integrity, of course, is one of them. And you can't be more authentic than to be a loving being, because that is the truth of all things. That is your truth. When you live with an open heart and you live with no resistance, you're going to be graceful. You're going to be honest. You're going to be strong. You're going to have all of this necessary instruments to create what you want to create, because you are the ultimate power. You're receiving the Lord's message, and you are being empowered by the source. You are being empowered by the ultimate power. You, again, cannot fail, and you're going to be elastic in your capacity to achieve success.
All right. Well, it's been wonderful speaking with you. Thank you for being part of the Breakthrough to Your Best Success event.
I am so honored to be a part of it. And you are such a ray of light, Elizabeth.
Oh, gosh.
I love you with my whole heart. I am so honored to be a part of this. And I know it's going to benefit so many people. And it's benefiting me.
Yeah. That's the one thing. I always try and write books that I would read myself.
Right, sure, of course.
Like go in and buy them myself, because if I wouldn't buy that, I'm not going to write it. So I said that to somebody last night on social media. I'm like, they're like, this book, it might help me. And I'm like, it helps me every day. I crack it open and write in it and whatever. So it's pretty funny. But anyway, all right. Well, lots of love. Mwah. Thank you so much for being here.
You're so welcome, and thank you.
Everybody, Michael McGlone. Yay. I don't have an audience button or an applause button, but
thank you.
All right, take care.
All right, bye-bye.